Coach, your program has been buzzing for the past, since last season, in a good way. A lot of people are talking about you, surprise team, on the rise, and everybody else is kind of giving their answers as to what's going on and how you're doing it and how you're different. But I wonder if you tell us how you're different and how you're doing it, how you're attracting the success at Ole Miss.
First thing I'll say is I think, I want to always say we have to be careful of what we define our expectations as, and we don't let someone else define them, because they may not know all of the things that are going on internally. And I think anytime you have unrealistic expectations, the result can be frustration. So, we've got to be very careful in year two. I was reminded in spring of how thin we really are when we had those injuries in spring, and how fortunate we were last year to play with the same 5 offensive linemen and same receivers, and that doesn't happen often. So we are raising the expectations, but I do think that it's still a little early for us to talk about some things like we're not SEC depth right now at every position. So how we're doing it is really it's the same thing I've done my whole career, as far as instilling in a team certain core values and certain accountability that hopefully relates into us trusting and loving one another enough that we play to our maximum ability. And now, obviously, it takes players. You've got to have great players in this league if you're going to compete. And we have taken strides and made progress in that through recruiting. But again, they're still just young kids. But really, I think it has to do with the chemistry that our staff radiates when people are on our campus. And we sell a vision to them of doing something new and fresh at a place that if people come to this place, I've never really met anyone that didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
And so it's really not as hard a sell as people make it out to be. I guess it's because we did it so fast. And but when I was there before as an assistant, we brought in 3 top 20 classes. So I don't, the place is a phenomenal place to experience life and college life especially. And you add to that a great vision from an energetic and cohesive staff, and particularly players that sell your vision. And we've worked very hard at getting our players to buy into the vision and being able to communicate it to others. And I think you see the fruits of that. That's kind of why the buzz is around us right now.
Coach, can you talk about the snowball effect of recruiting last year, and how it just went crazy? And could you have even expected to have that kind of success?
When our coaches would come back and tell me, "Hey, Coach, we're going to get this kid, or we're going to get, or we're even in this kid," I have to admit, my first thought internally was probably, these young coaches, man, they've lost their mind, But as it went on, and certainly started with winning the Egg Bowl and then winning the bowl game, and knowing, from my conversations with Miss Beverly about Robert, and with Robert, that if momentum occurred in our program and Denzel was having success, both of those things occurred, there was a good chance we were going to land, obviously, the #1 player in the nation. And with that comes a lot of notoriety. Where we were very fortunate, I've said that all along, to have some LinkedIn built-in ties that were very beneficial to us. But once that started happening and it became public knowledge, or even behind-the-scenes knowledge, that, hey, this kid's going to go to Ole Miss, it certainly even helped us even more. And then, with Laquan coming early and committing to us, and our coaches did a phenomenal job, and our players did too. But, could I anticipate it snowballing like it did? No, in all honesty, but certainly was a good ride.
Coach, what are some of your coaching staff and some of your older players do to temper maybe some of the egos of these new players who come in with a lot of hype?
Well, we're very, I have 2 non-negotiables in our program. One is that we always tell each other the truth. And we won't run from what the truth is. I haven't had this open discussion with them yet because I haven't been with them. And they're giving tremendous effort in the off-season with our strength staff, so I don't want to interrupt that. But I do know that what the social media and this buzz can create, I've seen it work one of 2 ways. It can, success can both be your enemy and it can be your best friend. And how we handle that through the leadership of our team will be very critical of how we do this year, and we'll address it very clearly in camp that sometimes in the world we live in, I think we forget that all of our football teams are made up of the culture that we live in. And whatever's going on in culture, it's going on in our team. And right now in culture, social media inflates egos. It gives you this false sense of maybe what really life is like. In some cases, I think you may even think you're living on a different planet with some of our kids. But and I think social media can be a good thing too. But it's certainly something that can give you a false perception of what real reality is, and we'll address that very carefully throughout camp.
Hey, Coach, when you look at Bo Wallace, what does he need to do this year to take it to the next level?
Quit turning it over. It's. I wish I could say there's a magic potion, but it's really, if you look at what he did stat-wise, the big plays that he made, that's right on par with some of the best in our conference. But when you look at how he took care of the ball, it's one of the worst. And we can't win big games in this conference turning the ball over.
Is there one thing he can do in particular, and if by doing that, do you take away the big play?
Well, he certainly is a gunslinging mentality. I do think he's matured a lot off the field, though, which I do think will benefit him on the field. I think he kind of sees life maybe through a little different viewing glass now, and hopefully that will translate into him seeing the play. I made a decision last year to redshirt a senior punter, and took a lot of criticism for that. But now I'm so glad that I did. But Tyler Campbell, may be the best in the conference. And Bo has to understand it's okay if that guy's averaging 45 yards a punt. It's okay. Let's punt the football. And he's more mature now, and hopefully he can understand that. But really, it just he thinks he can make every throw at every single moment. But I think with maturity, hopefully that will change some.
What about the Kandichi brothers playing off of each other, the energy, the excitement? How much does that excite you, Coach?
Well, being around those two is an experience within itself. But I haven't, and they are so different. It's kind of funny to watch, and Robert is so unassuming, and just so kind of naive, and really probably doesn't know how good he could be. Denzel will tell you every day how good he is, and and not that that's a bad thing altogether. That can be good and bad. But one thing I do know, they love each other. They will play extremely hard for each other and their teammates, and we're excited to have both of them.